Hi, everyone.
Greetings. In Crisis of Conscience by Ray Franz, page 35 in the chapter Credentials and Cause. In the previous section, he's been dealing with the way the Watchtower slanders and abuses people who dare to disagree with it.
And silences them.
Silences them to the extent possible by forbidding them to have any association, forbidding their publishers, so-called, to have any association with even family members.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the complaint, the counter-complaint that witnesses often make. Even your family did this to you, which is, why do you think you have the right to air our dirty laundry in public? He's not talking about family laundry, but more about the organization, right?
So even if you're telling the truth, it's not a truth they want known to the public. That they won't talk to you.
So Ray deals with that right away here. He says, some will likely condemn certain information as an airing of our dirty linen before the public. Strangely, these same ones generally do not object to the airing of the dirty linen of other religions, and may in fact take great interest in it, even publicize it widely. But they feel that what happens within their own religious organization should not be discussed outside its confines. The hard fact is, however, that among Jehovah's Witnesses today, there is simply no possibility for such discussion to take place. Anyone's attempting to do so would be viewed as showing a rebellious spirit and would only result in further disfellowshipping. Since the information cannot be discussed within, and if it is not to be discussed outside the structure, that means that it must be left undiscussed, ignored. Some, of course, would like it to remain that way, but is it right that it should?
It is true that the Christian rightly relies on God to see all things and to be the true and final judge of all matters. Undeniably, he alone can fully and finally right all wrongs committed. There is never any justification for angry retaliation, spiteful recrimination. There is no room for smear tactics. The scriptures leave no doubt in that regard. Does this, however, call for maintaining total silence about injustice? Does it require keeping silent when error is propagated in the name of God? Is perhaps the discussion thereof evidence of disrespect for divinely constituted authority? The position of the organization is that no injustice exists, that what has been and is being done is in full harmony with the scriptures. In fact, that the scriptures require such action to be taken. If that is so, then there should be no objection to a frank discussion of things. Such discussion should actually result in the rightness of the organization's position becoming more evident, should vindicate it of any charge of injustice. Only persons truly responsible for injustice prefer silence and seek to impose it, as has long been the case with dictatorial governments and authoritarian religions in past as well as recent times. Sorry about that.
Do scriptural examples themselves urge against disclosure of wrongs where these involve those in high places of authority? It does not seem so, since the work of the Hebrew prophets frequently focused on such ones, those prophets making known the ways in which those leaders and men in authority had strayed from God's standards with resulting problems. Jehovah's Witnesses have often pointed to such candor and openness as one of the evidences that the Bible is truthful, genuinely God's book. What too of Jesus' apostles and disciples? It was the very authority structure of God's covenant people, its Sanhedrin, its elders, its divinely appointed priestly authority that objected strenuously to the publicizing done by the apostles of the unjust handling of Jesus' case. In both cases, that of the Hebrew prophets and that of the Christian disciples, those publicizing the wrongs did so out of respect for and in obedience to a higher authority and in the interests of the people who needed to know.
Obviously, no one today has a divine commission as a prophet or an apostle, but one does not have to be a prophet to take a course that follows the example of God's prophets. Otherwise, Jesus' words would lose their meaning when, speaking to those who were reproached and about whom every sort of wicked thing was being said, he encouraged them to rejoice, saying, "For in that way they persecuted the prophets before you." It is because they were following a parallel course that those Christians were receiving parallel treatment. One does not have to be an apostle to follow the example of the apostles, nor does he have to be or pretend to be a Messiah in order to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. There is, of course, an enormous difference between the treatment accorded God's Son as to importance, significance, and consequence, and that accorded to the persons involved in this modern-day situation. But it would seem that the principle of open disclosure that God approved in the above examples has force in this present-day situation, gives some indication at least that he is by no means averse to having injustice and misrepresentation uncovered, provided that the motivation is that of helping, of alerting people to realities that can aid them in arriving at right conclusions. The saying that evil prevails when good men remain silent seems to have some validity here.
Regardless of the seriousness of the matters here made known, they alone did not lead me to a decision, but they did cause me to ponder more seriously than ever before the meaning of major portions and teachings of the Bible, why the Apostle Paul could stress salvation by faith, not owing to works, in order that no man should have grounds for boasting, what the real difference is between the righteousness produced by law-keeping and the righteousness resulting from God's grace or undeserved kindness, the importance of the role of God's Son as head of the Christian congregation, what the true purpose of the congregation is, the reason for God's granting authority therein, and how that authority can be misused. The things that I saw, heard, and experienced as a member of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, part of the inner executive circle, brought home to me more than ever the crucial importance of those teachings.
Many others of Jehovah's Witnesses, not having the information I here supply, arrived at the same crossroads and made their own decision, doing so simply on the basis of what they had read in the Bible. Others, however, face a serious crisis of conscience and do so with uncertainty, with a sense of confused anguish, even of guilt. My hope is that what is presented in this book may be of help, and I feel it is owed to them. It is offered to be used in whatever way their conscience may lead, as they submit to the guidance of God's Spirit and Word. Mm-hmm.
That's the end of chapter 2. Next chapter, chapter 3, is the governing body. Our link is, by what authority? The question for JWs. Because like Christ, or I guess I should say unlike Christ, the faithful and discreet slave dodges its critics.
Yeah.
In the Gospel of Matthew and all the other Gospels, you see Christ confronting his critics, and his critics also confronting him. In other words, there was a dialogue going on, and that's why Christ died.
Yeah. Because
he dared to criticize. Mm-hmm. Just like the prophets of old, as Ray Franz points out. Mm-hmm. So our link is to the J.C. Ryle discussion of that, where he discusses in several chapters the confrontation between Christ and his critics in Jerusalem that last week of his life. Mm-hmm. So we'll attach one of those, by what authority, and also the J.C. Ryle playlist, because we went through the entire exposition of Matthew by J.C. Ryle with our own commentary added to that of Ryle. So I'll put that playlist also on your screen.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.